Yo! Video games.
Oh my god. We're back. We exist outside of a streaming,
been a while.
outside of a streaming space and in the real human world called Earth. We saw Batman.
This is called the Batman.
It was called Tay Batman.
Yeah.
Tay.
L?
To Batman.
Is it L or La?
L Batman?
L. It would be L.
L Batman.
And it would be La Batwoman.
La Bat Lady.
Well, if you've seen the movie, you'll understand that joke.
Yeah, that's actually very important. So yeah, we saw the Batman. I went into this pretty dry.
Oh yeah.
And I saw like one trailer and was a bit curious that Robert Pattinson was chosen for the role, and then later learned that he's a huge Final Fantasy VII weeb. So I'm just completely on board with anything he does now.
Okay, right, yeah.
And yes, let's make this review quick. I fucking loved it. This movie was fucking great in my opinion.
I was super on board with it when they said Matt Reeves was going to do it because I was super big fan of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And
I never saw that one.
War for Planet of the Apes. And Dawn is the second one in the trilogy, by far the best. 3 was good too. So I was like, okay, this guy can direct the hell out of a sci-fi film. Really kind of sad too, because like that whole trilogy, even though he didn't do the first one, but like that whole reboot trilogy was really underappreciated.
Yeah,
really flew under everyone's radar.
Didn't it kind of only do okay box office wise too?
Yeah, they did okay. They did all right. Like, but they didn't bomb. But they were just kind of like they did okay.
I think it was the impression of the first Planet of the Apes movie, like Rise. I think it was Rise of the Planet of the Apes, where it's got like John Lithgow and stuff like that. Yeah,
and that's the weakest one.
It is. Yeah, I thought it was okay.
It's okay.
And I thought when we saw it in theaters, I was like, is it the same director?
No, Rupert.
It's a different guy, right?
I did Rise.
That movie I thought was funny because it was essentially like, man, the apes are more human than the humans. Like the humans are just like aggressive, angry gorillas for the most part throughout the whole film.
Well, Dawn actually does a really good job because like humans are like on the edge, and then like there's this really great the way the characters are written because you have Gary Oldman and you have this other guy who's like the main human who I don't remember who played him or what his name was. It doesn't matter. And then there's Andy Serkis. And then there's Koba. So basically there's 2 humans and there's 2 apes. And basically one human is like, whatever, don't trust them, kill all apes, and then one human is like, wants to, have a broker, a peace, between the two, a coexistence. And Andy Serkis is the ape that wants to have a coexistence as well. And then he has this Koba who's like
and the second one and the third one are exploring that.
Yeah, like a lot of that. So it was just super well done to have this film about 2 opposing sides. And then there's different characters in each side that are like different extremes of how they want to handle a situation.
Like we were just hearing from Kenny's end. Kenny was watching the Stuckman review, and he was saying how like Matt Reeves has not made a bad film yet.
Oh yeah,
like all of them.
I'm not 100% familiar with his entire filmography. I just from those 2 going in, I'm like, okay, he's going to direct the hell out of a Batman film.
Yeah, and this movie's directed like. It's got a significant tone and a significant feeling that's way different. Kenny, what was the thing that stuck out the most to you?
Oh, geez, man! Like it just felt like a graphic novel. It really felt, and Gotham felt like a lived-in real city.
World building's pretty great.
World building was amazing. Like it really just felt like this place that was alive, and there's a subsection and another. I was just like, wow, this is fucking cool. I mean, and it had hints of almost all the Gotham City.
Yeah,
some 89 hints to
me,
it.
There was feelings of like almost all outside of the super campy Batmans. I felt like a bit of Batman Returns in this movie. Batman 89 felt a lot of like Batman Begins and that trilogy in some ways. I didn't feel any of the Snyderverse stuff, thankfully. I'm gonna get roasted in the comments now, and but it felt like there's like little bits and takes of all of it while being hyper grounded. Like this is the most grounded Batman has ever been.
Yeah, and that's kind of the crazy thing because like it's weird to come out and say like, it's so good, I loved it so much, and yet it's kind of doing what Batman's been doing since the 2000s, which is we're gonna go more grounded and more gritty and more gritty and more grounded, serial, and it's just and this movie is that. But it is done well. Like it's not.
It's executed well.
Yeah, because you had the Nolan trilogy, you had a couple Snyder films, and they are all dark and gritty and serious and moody. but this is doubling down or tripling down on it, but it still works.
I agree.
It works
really well.
fantastically.
But it does stand out.
And it worked. Yeah, I think to me it worked better than the the last three. The what's his face?
The Baleverse.
The Baleverse too. And like it felt like it felt grounded. But then the thing is, it was like this movie's all in the dark.
Yeah.
It was, maybe you see dawn and dusk a few times, but this all in the dark
and raining.
Yeah, raining, and it just felt like this really
so much
freaking cool Gotham.
I have to say the visual aesthetic of the movie is really cool. Like the way they shoot Batman is really cool, and the approach to Batman is also like interesting. I don't think this is like a spoiler specifically, but like Batman in the Baleverse is a ninja.
Yeah,
dude is a actual fucking ninja.
Yeah, trained with that.
Like literally trained ninja. And that's where he gets all of his like ninja skills, like stealth stuff. And he's not really that in this movie. He's more like a bully.
Oh yeah.
He's like a crime bully.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going to show up.
He's like Arkham Asylum if you don't try to stealth anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All conflict.
Like,
and that's kind of what
problems.
And that seems weird that Batman isn't essentially like stealthy. But at the same time, it's because it's early Batman. It's like he's like in his 20s in this. He's like in his maybe late 20s was what they're depicting based on some timeline events. So I think to me that makes sense. It's actually kind of neat that it's an approach to the character that we haven't seen like on film before. And it to me, it really resembled a lot more of Batman Returns, where Batman doesn't do all like the creepy crawling around that he does in Batman 99.
He just shows up.
Just chest out and just starts moving ass. Like that's his character in that movie.
The famous scene of him walking down the sidewalk and
tossing people.
Putting the bomb in the clown's pants and throwing him down a well. Just keeps walking, and then there's like that. I actually watched that scene again because it stops with this weird cut of like Danny DeVito standing in like kind of some weird creepy statue.
Yeah.
Then he comes to talk to him, and then like they hear an explosion, and the camera pans, and it's like, oh, they're just standing on an open street corner.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't skulking around anywhere.
No, they're just like on the street.
They're just on the street.
On a big set. And that's why I mean it. Like it kind of reminds me. Like, granted, this is a Batman movie with Catwoman and Penguin, and Batman Returns is a Batman movie with a Catwoman and Penguin. But you had a really good point, Simmons. How this is the first Batman movie where the villains are not the hyper focus. Like, Batman is actually the focus, and Batman and his and his trauma essentially takes center stage, and I think it's really neat.
Yeah, because we're following Batman as he solves mysteries, whatever. Like progresses the story. The story progresses through Batman, the character of Bruce Wayne Batman, rather than Batman Returns is like the movie opens with Penguin's origin, and then like it's really kind of focusing on that, and then there's like even a Catwoman origin, and then it's kind of focusing on them, and Batman's kind of where I said, granted that is a follow-up movie, but like Batman 89, doesn't really follow Batman's arc. It's really about Jack Napier and his arc, and then he gets ratted out and betrayed, and then turns into Joker.
Batman doesn't really go through.
Batman shows up to save the day.
Yeah, he essentially, and it's the same thing in like Batman 89 and Batman Returns. Like, does he go through much? Does he change at all at the end of Batman 89?
Character-wise, no.
Not really. Like, you sort of learn more about the death of his family and why he's going after Joker. And it's like, oh, that's like the absolution is him getting his revenge on the Joker and murdering his ass in a not sort of way. And then Batman Returns is Batman's just around, like, for the most part. Like, we follow him and stuff like that, but there's no, like, eventual change of character or mood or anything like that, ever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like, there's just tiny little things or whatever, but, like, and Batman Begins, you could argue, is close to that, where it's like, hey, it is the sort of the journey of Batman, I guess.
Origin story stuff, yeah.
But yeah, it is very origin story style stuff. I guess you could say if anything is close to it, maybe would be that movie. I guess. But it is interesting because this is not an origin story for Batman. But it is a movie focused about Batman discovering things and learning how to be, a better superhero.
He becomes the focus of a villain.
Yeah, and they do that. And they do that very, I think, smartly by it's year 2. He's established, but he's still got stuff to learn.
Oh yeah,
he still has his character arc to go through.
Yeah.
We're not going to go through, Thomas and Martha Wayne getting shot in the alley. You already fucking know that. So
And there is actually quite a good Batman character arc in this film. Like Batman is significantly, Bruce Wayne is different by the end of the film because he's gone through some shit and shit has gone through around him to his loved ones and stuff and to people, everybody else that changes his character by the end, and that's cool. It's cool to see. Oh, Batman's actually human, right? He's a psychopath, crazy maniac, but crime bully, but he's relatively human.
Yeah. And, to me, this feels more of animated. Like, I would compare this Batman to more animated features.
Yeah, like Batman, you mean Batman animated series.
Series, and like I said, it would follow like Batman Year One, and then maybe like Hush and even Simmons' favorite too, Long Halloween. Yeah, Long Halloween. And Batman Year One, it really felt like that because in Long Halloween, he had to do a lot of investigating and a lot of who's this? Is it this person? Is it that person?
And not to get super spoilery, but there's a lot of nods. Not it's based on this arc or this thing from a comic. No, not that, but just nods.
Nods, exactly.
Like Easter eggs and nods, to like, oh, this is like a nod or basically like a very subtle shout out to this famous
potential storyline that could happen.
Yes, but famous storyline in a comic. It's not like setting something up. It's just kind of like, it's really not. It's at the very, very beginning of the movie. It's like it starts on Halloween, and it's like, oh, it's kind of a nod to the Long Halloween. It's not the Long Halloween storyline in any way, shape, or form, but it's kind of like the imagery of like starting out on a Halloween. Just Gotham celebrating Halloween.
Sure.
Is like, oh, it's kind of like that. Like, so there's like these little nods. Like famous comic storylines.
That's the stuff that Marvel actually does really well too. Is they put tons of like nods all over the place because they know they're not going to eventually be able to make big storyline arcs out of this stuff. So we'll just put like little references here and there. People are like, oh, that's shit. That's from some funky book from the 70s or some shit,
Right.
So I think it's a pretty resounding. We all kind of loved the movie in a wide variety of ways, and I really did. I didn't think it was absolutely perfect, so I guess we'll kind of get into a little bit of spoiler-onies.
Yeah.
I thought the first beginning of this movie and like the first 2/3 of it were just fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is crazy how, and this is kind of a spoiler, it's not an action movie. No. It's more like a serial killer crime drama.
Yeah,
and like that's really, if you want like a comparison, the movies that I've seen, it's like I could best compare it to like Seven or the Zodiac Killer, or Zodiac. Sorry, the other David Fincher movie, I think. So that's like that's pretty much what most of this film is.
Oh, it feels
like 75% of the movie.
It feels like those movies very much so.
Yeah, and it's like about discovery and figuring this out and figuring that out. And getting from one place to another, and like the characters don't know what's going on, and you don't know what's going on as well. It's actually very, very fun because it's all about that discovery. However, there is a couple of like pretty great things throughout the film that allow Batman to be Batman.
Yeah,
because it's a lot of like, there's not a lot of Bruce Wayne in this movie. It's mostly just Batman doing things,
and they kind of almost acknowledge it within the movie.
Yeah,
like there's a scene where a character says like, he sees Bruce Wayne. He's like, wow, Bruce Wayne. The only man they say is more reclusive than me.
Yeah.
So they kind of like already, and then there's like a really early conversation where, like Alfred's like, hey, we got a meeting coming here at the house. He's like, why is it here? Because no one knows how to reach you.
Yeah, you won't go anywhere.
Because you won't go anywhere. You won't leave, kind of thing. So
they do get into how weird Batman is, and that's great. And Robert Pattinson was right that Batman is a weirdo.
Yeah, he said that in an interview, which kind of rubs some people the wrong way because I'm like. Because some people are like, oh, that's not Batman. That's not heroic. And I'm like, I don't know. Batman's a weirdo. I think he's supposed to be. He's Batman.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust anybody. He's just, this super recluse loner. Like, and especially if you go back to some of the animated series, he didn't want to work with anybody. Yeah. And even the people he works with, he doesn't trust. He doesn't trust anybody in the Justice League. Yeah, the guy's,
Well, that's kind of, I feel like people like that are either like bringing Snyderverse Batman into perspective, maybe, where it's just like he's just heroic dude.
Yeah.
And you don't get a ton of character.
Well, there's different ways to kind of interpret it. Like if you want the Punisher as Batman, that's not
fucking Batman.
That's not Batman, and this is not that character either. That's Thomas Wayne in an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Batman. So it's kind of like you're not going to get Punisher Batman. You're not going to get whatever Tim Burton's weirdo one is, where he randomly smiles after putting a bomb on the guy.
Yeah, or the bloodlust Batman.
And you're definitely not getting, the forever Batman and Robin style.
No.
Just, I don't even know. And
Forever is almost different than Batman and Robin. Like, they're campy, but Batman and Robin is, like, extra campy. Like, we tried aggressively to make this as campy as possible. Holy Frozen Bananas Batman.
Just stuff like
Holy
that.
Rusted Metal.
Holy Rusted Metal
that
Batman.
That was forever.
Yeah.
What? Red metal, it's rusted,
metal.
and there's holes in it.
Like Val Kilmer's line too.
Yeah, that's the beginning of the cheese. Bat nipples and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's not like...
butt shot.
He's not like... And you could make the argument with Christian Bale, I think, did a good job of playing up the Playboy aspect.
Yes.
Because you don't get Playboy billionaire Bruce Wayne. This is not Playboy billionaire Bruce Wayne.
No.
This is reclusive Bruce Wayne, who's kind of just like letting his family's legacy and name kind of like in the public
completely absorb him. Like
Yeah.
what his family actually wanted is what completely absorbs him.
Yeah. So he's a recluse. You don't see him much. He's not. You know what else is really good though? They actually show him when because he actually does things where he goes in and out of costume on the same night.
Yeah.
Like if he wants to be like, like tailing someone or like doing, and he noticed like his eyeliner stays on.
Yeah.
Like there's like this really cool thing because it's like, they're always wearing eyeliner. And in a lot of movies, they kind of ignore the fact that he's totally wearing eyeliner.
Yeah, Michael Keaton when he has to take off the mask.
Oh yeah, that's right. At the end
it has one shot where suddenly the eyeliner is just gone.
Yeah, and it's just gone. So he's like, Selena, it's me. And he pulls off, like, where's your eyeliner?
Yeah, it's funny that, and that just once again just leads into like the more brooding, kind of like edgier, loner Batman that this one is. Yeah, and it's not like, this might sound like it's edgy and cheesy, but it's not done in a bad way. It's actually handled super well.
Yeah,
and it's because the character is going through a transformation. Like this is like him at his lowest point. He doesn't care if he dies. Like all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was the thing. It's like he's not well.
He's not well.
And that's kind of a running theme throughout the movie is that like everyone's and I think you said it too, where it's like the movie's about scars. Because Gotham's not well, Batman's not well, Catwoman's not well. Like,
everyone has scars.
Obviously the other villains are not well. But this movie's kind of like about scars and how you deal with them and how you heal from them or move on from them.
Yeah, or don't.
Or don't, in which case. And that's kind of that is the crux of the film right there. It's just sort of like...
Yeah, in the same way that like Joker was about depression, right? And how like crushing depression can be in any situation where like the world just gets you down completely and the mental state that puts you in. Like Gotham felt like it was in a depression in many ways. It was broken and depressed. And Joker was the reflection of that. This doesn't... tonally, it feels sort of the same here, but not as like sad, not as like brutally like, oh, this is
it's like depressing. Kenny said, it's more like a graphic novel.
Yes,
and like you pointed out one time, it's like Sin City, but without the hyper stylization.
Yeah, and I said this movie's more like Sin City than any other DC movie. Like it actually. It isn't just like that because Sin City is super comic booky, but gritty like Sin City.
And then they're monologuing for the city. I mean, even there's a little bit of that here.
A little bit of that.
But it doesn't feel as campy, though. And it like that monologue in the beginning really made me feel like the Batman animated series, right? The signal, and then people looking in the dark corners like, oh, shit, is that the Bat? Yeah. And stuff like that. And
I love that part at the beginning. I almost feel like they didn't need to describe it. Like where it's like I am the shadows now. Yeah. Where once the bat signal goes up, like crooks and villains essentially look to once they see the bat signal that any crevice in the city could be him. Like Batman. That's a cool ass idea, man. This is starting very well.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like
this is a good start.
There's a beautiful director's touch in the very, very beginning of that very scene because he does show because you see all these different crimes going on and you don't know which one he's going to show up at, and he shows up at the this area where people are mugging a dude on a train station, and there's this beautiful directorial shot, and I noticed it right away. So like in the scene, it's a gang that's beating up one guy, kind of just for fun, for the lulz, for their TikTok, or they don't say it, but like that's what they're doing. And Batman comes in and beats the shit out of them, but there's this one thug who they're trying to get to like initiate or something. Yeah. Half of his face is painted, and half is not. And there's this moment, because he doesn't get involved in the fight, he just kind of like, He stays
Yeah.
back.
He's being initiated.
He's being initiated, and then like there's this moment where him and Batman stare at each other, and he runs off, and then even the guy he saves is like, "Please don't hurt me," because he's just freaked out. And I'm like, that thug is the whole thing. That whole sort of scene is built up as it's Batman's arc. He's half a foot into this shit.
Yeah.
And it's like he's either going to become
the thugs.
He's either going to become the thugs or he's going to.
That's where he says the line where like I am vengeance, and it comes back at the end because
it comes back
like,
at the very
villainous
end.
Bad guys say the exact same thing even though they don't know he said it.
Yeah,
and Batman realizes like fuck, I'm becoming one of them.
Yeah,
like,
and I really liked how that one character at the beginning with the half the face paint there, because it's like the whole movie's just basically about.
It's one of those things where you didn't see it, but your brain did.
What your brain did, just your mind did. Basically like. Just seeing that sort of dichotomy, right and there, where it's like, which way will Batman fall?
It has that great storytelling part where this is still young Batman, where people don't know who he is.
Yeah,
like even this random bystander that just got his ass saved by Batman is like, don't fucking kill me, please.
Yeah,
like he doesn't. Batman is still new at this, where he's not known as like the Caped Crusader yet. He's essentially just a dude running around.
Yeah,
in a suit.
When he shows up in crime scenes and stuff like that, they're like, what the fuck is this guy doing here?
Yeah.
Like, you let him in here, dude? Are you nuts? Like, this guy's a psycho.
Batman has this like reflecting thing where he talks to himself like in dialogue, and he says like, I don't know if I'm making a difference yet.
Yeah.
Where he's like, he's trying to come to grips with reality.
Couple inner monologues. You show him at the beginning, it's a diary he's writing.
I love that shit. Where it's like, it's called like the Gotham Project.
Yeah.
Where it's like him writing notes about like what happened and how, and when he goes through his fucking Batmaning, he doesn't remember it sometimes, so he has to actually review the footage of his eyepiece thing and actually watch what happened.
You know what I actually kind of liked about this movie too was that he had a bunch of gadgets, but they're never focused on, and they're never described. There's no exposition for it.
Yeah,
it's like he takes a contact lens out of his eye. He puts it on like a little round orb,
display.
Little brown orb, and then it basically like you get it. Like he's looking at the computer and it's basically replaying everything he saw. You get it.
Yeah.
Like there's a part where he has his bat, a box cut.
Bat box cutter.
Bat box cutter, and he just but then he just puts it on like you get it, and he uses it later. Kind of thing where it's never focused on at all. Like he has a bunch of shit all over his gauntlets.
Yeah, there is.
Like they don't ever focus on this.
Shock that dude.
There's no moment where Alfred comes down and does a James Bond like Q style.
Yeah, they're
like we've got this new thing for you.
Yeah, and they do that quite a bit in the Batman Begins series.
Yeah,
and they definitely it's like a highlight. Like literally, one of the biggest focuses of the first movie and one of the most marketable lines was, where does he get those wonderful toys? Yeah. Which is literally toy bait. It's literally like, oh yeah, we're going to make toys out of fucking everything. But it's weird that it's not that much of a focus of the movie. Although, I would like to say that's not true, but then the Batmobile shows up.
God damn.
And it's
damn.
Me and Kenny, the fucking music, man.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't had this type of a reaction to something in a film in a long time, possibly since when Captain America grabbed a fucking hammer in Avengers.
Yeah.
When the Batmobile starts up and all the crooks are like, what the fuck is that? And the jet engines on it, and this makes this horrible noise. They're just freaked out. The music's kicking in.
Yeah.
Me and Kenny are like, oh shit, oh fucking shit. Oh my god, this is so cool.
Giggling our asses off, dude.
We were sitting there jumping up and down. This is so fucking sick. And then it leads to arguably the best Batman chase scene ever.
Yeah.
The freeway chase is so fucking cool when the Batmobile is so fucking cool in this movie.
And it's cool too because it feels real, right? All those other Batmobiles are these tanks. It looks like he just got this Mad Max car, strapped a rocket to it.
Fucking rocket
and
to
it's
it.
it's kind of fucking dangerous. He doesn't have
it's like a Daytona car.
Yeah.
The thing is,
doesn't have windows and shit.
Even in the car, you see Batman he's getting banged around in it. It's not like
this shit felt, but it was fucking.
Yeah, there's a visceralness to that.
That moment, that build up, and I gotta say, the music is fucking.
Dude,
the music
Batmobile
is
theme,
muy bueno. And you don't actually hear the full Batman theme until he starts chasing the fuck out of him in the Batmobile. This is a fucking Batman movie, man. God damn, I'm having a great time right now.
Jesus.
Yeah,
it's funny too because it feels it's such a less is more chase because it's really just him chasing one guy in a sedan across the freeway,
but just done really well.
Yeah, they go and the worst thing they do is they go into the opposite side of traffic and cause a pileup. But like, and I just remember BVS, and I was just like, I was laughing for completely different reasons because there's like car chase scene.
I forgot
with
it.
Batfleck, but it's so dumb because like
they fly off an edge.
They fly off a thing. There's a thing where he shoots a cable and he hooks it on another car, and then he makes the car fly up in the air and smash the car on top of another car. So he kills everyone in both cars and then drags them around and then throws them into a boat.
I remember that one. Murdering those
just
dudes.
murdering the shit out of these people. I'm just like, this is so dumb.
And you know, like
this is wanton murderous Batman.
Yeah.
Just.
Now I remember that.
I just remember thinking like, oh my god, like what the fuck?
Yeah, there's
heroes.
There's a gritty realism to Batman in this movie.
Yeah.
Like even all like the crazy like parkour stuff that he does like is still rooted in like a deep reality. For example, like his wingsuit isn't extravagant. It's like a big puffy fucking realistic
like a really
wingsuit.
cool thing where he has to like zip it up,
zip his ass up,
do
into
all
like,
this shit, and then it becomes a squirrel suit.
Yeah.
He doesn't do like the Arkham bullshit where I'm like, I hold my cape out really far.
Yeah,
Batman Gundam
and a parachute.
Batman
it's
Returns.
like this very visceral, like, oh, I'm in a squirrel suit, and he fucking crashes.
He eats shit hard.
He eats shit hard too from it. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot more like really that like realism. Like he still has his bat claw, so he still like has like the hook shot to get around.
Yeah,
and stuff.
exactly. He doesn't use it.
And then
too
again,
much.
never. There's no moment of like, we've got this crazy hook shot, Batman, he can lift an elephant,
some crazy stat.
But back on the Batmobile, no, I haven't had goosebumps or anything like that for a Batmobile like since like '89, and then this movie, and this movie blew it out of the way because all the other Batmobiles, hey, they were cool, they did some cool.
I think
shit,
Batman Begins has some pretty cool Batmobile-ish moments because it's just a fucking tank.
It's a tank. Yeah. But to me, it was just like those were like that's an army vehicle, and he spray painted it black and stuff like that. This seems like he fucking made this shit. You know, he's like, and just that entrance theme and fucking hell, man.
It has so much wonderful build-up, is what it has. The movie has such a great directorial touch where they have like these great scene transitions. I was noticing where they carry. To keep the tension really high, they carry the sound effect of the next scene from the previous one. So it's like you hear a train going at the end of a scene that's really tense, and then it cuts to a train, right? But you hear the train like 3 seconds ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So it's just nice little touches that give the movie a really good pace. However, I do feel that the final big battle is ended up feeling like it was not necessary. Like it's
mostly unnecessary, but like it came back around for me.
It did come back around,
with the with the flashlight, but like the flare,
thing,
flare moment. We'll call it the flare moment.
Yeah, Batman being a hero.
That brought it around for me. That was kind of like solidifying his arc because it did feel like we're having a big pointless action sequence because shit. It almost feels like the movie's wrapped up, villains are caught, or just solved. Like the mystery's kind of solved. Oh no, what do we do? Like, oh, they did that without having a fucking, big fight in a space laser going off a building somewhere or something.
Sure.
And then they're like, shit, it was almost like shit, we need to have this.
Yeah, moment. It almost felt like instead of it feeling like necessary, I felt like Batman conflicting with the Riddler in the fucking Arkham scene was about to like leave a riddle up that we don't get to know about.
Yeah.
And then it's just like Batman has to leave him at that, and he just doesn't tell him. Like I thought that was where the movie was going to end, where it's just like sort of a stinger for the next one.
I kind of thought.
But then it actually led to like 20 more minutes of movie where the whole goddamn seaboard crashes in and floods the whole city. And
apparently Gotham in this movie is New Orleans.
I guess
New Orleans / New York.
Yeah, something
combined.
like that. There's a seawall that's protecting the city. Anyway, it essentially boils down to like Riddler snipers, like all of Riddler's crazy support internet supporters.
Yeah.
Which definitely felt a little fucking topical to me, bro.
A little bit.
There's a little bit of like January. Damn. They just put the January 6th insurrection in this movie. All right, cool.
Yeah.
They just wanted to go all out. Okay. Like fucking A, man.
Yeah.
So
all his creepy followers.
All his creepy followers.
All his internet followers.
We're all gonna build up on our crazy website, and we're all gonna fucking do this terrible thing. It's like, ugh, Jesus Christ, this is very topical, Batman. But it doesn't feel necessary. right?
It kind of
It doesn't, but there was one really good scene where he almost loses his shit.
Yes.
And that scene was cool. Yeah, he was about to just fucking kill that guy.
Where he like gets jacked on.
Yeah, literally, he's like, I can't move, fuck it.
Yeah.
Just the juice.
And he takes like, Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah.
And he fucking rages out.
That's the one scene I did like because he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. And they're like, yo, Batman, chill. And he's like, oh shit, you know.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. It kind of came around because it kind of like fulfilled his arc at the end of that whole scene. But yeah, it would definitely kind of feels like they wrote this detective story, this thriller, right? The 7 Zodiac style movie. Yeah. And then someone at the studio goes, it's a Batman movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a big climactic, you
need a big battle in the end. Batman has to have his big entrance, and it happens, and it's cool. It is cool. It's just
that fucking fight scene was fucking badass.
It is cool. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's just like I felt like the movie was over a while ago.
Yeah, it comes post resolution.
Yes, exactly.
So that's like its only sort of like problem there. Because like I'm sure someone in the studio probably was like, you should have Riddler be like at the top, of the stadium and directing all his goons, and the guy he beats the shit out of at the end was probably supposed to be Riddler at some point.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Rather than just a random goon that he almost punches to death.
Yeah.
Like that was probably supposed to be the Riddler at some point.
Maybe.
Jesus Christ, that is so much more 7 like, where it's like all that is done. It's like, and it's the end, and he's caught. He's like, I'm Envy.
I want to be caught.
Yeah, I'm Envy. And it's like, wow, yeah. So, but 100%, like, yeah, that would probably.
Like, is it a little long? I guess. Yeah,
I did feel like it was a bit too long.
Yeah,
not to a detriment.
Not to a detriment, but like there could have been some things that could have been, fastened up a little, tightened up just a bit. But like, because I was ready for a 3-hour Batman movie, and I'm like, could have done, a couple of things. That's why it's not like a perfect.
Really, to me,
it's
the only like real problem was just that last scene. Like, I felt everything was well done. I wouldn't want to cut really anything else out
because
except
the movie deviates hard away from the Riddler for a while, where it's all about Falcone, right?
And delving into the crime stuff.
What happened to Batman's family and what his father did and who killed his parents and and his family's dark backstory that he doesn't know about potentially, and that. It's suddenly the movie is like, whoa, like we're going in this completely different direction.
There's an incredible, I don't know if it's intentional or not, it's hard to say, but there was such a fucking incredible nod in the orphanage area, even though it's like, quote unquote, not Arkham. There's like this really crazy nod, I feel, to Return of the Joker, the Batman Beyond movie, where like they do a flashback and he goes to like an abandoned Arkham Asylum and their Joker has a projector playing something creepily in the auditorium. I was like, this feels like a nod, like a crazy nod to that, and it's all about Batman's backstory.
Yeah, this is definitely the kind of like gritty Batman tone, like the realistic tone that they're going for in this.
Yeah.
Where like Killing Joke type stuff would be fucking perfect.
Right.
Like if they eventually got to a Robin, if they eventually like got to that point where
right in this tone,
if they execute it, because they sort of like what did the Snyderverse hinted at that? That happened?
Yeah, they
hinted
did.
at it. It's
because
there's a costume.
There's a costume and Joker's paint on it or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like Batman uses this to remember. Yeah. Because I'm fucking sad and middle-aged. And I'm sad.
I think Jared Leto Joker killed him with cringe or something.
Oh, that's
right? Good. Yeah, that's effective.
It did me.
Got me. Yeah. Me and Kenny are KO'd.
Kenny don't want no beef? You don't want no beef? Did you ever see that movie?
No, I won't.
Really?
What movie?
The original Suicide Squad.
The original Suicide Squad. I saw the latest one. It was great.
Yeah,
the latest one
was great. I will not. I just don't like being cringed out by shit. Yeah. And I watched like a 45-second clip of a YouTube scene of like Joker's Club, right?
Yeah.
And some guy goes into Joker's Club to talk to the Joker. And I
think that's common, isn't it?
That's common, yeah.
The honk. I could barely fucking handle it, dude. I could not. I'm good, man.
Cringe.
I don't like cringy shit. I turn it off.
You don't want no beef?
Yeah, I mostly erased it from my head, but the editing was so fucking bad. It was so confusing. I'm like, what is even happening? Like, and then he started talking, and I was like, oh, Jesus, I'm turning this video off. So I don't. I still think that In terms of like ultimate Batman movies, Batman '89 still holds up very well, in my opinion. I have not seen Dark Knight in a long time, and I'd like to see it again.
Dark Knight's very good, but you know what this movie does better than Dark Knight? You'll agree with me on this one, Kenny. Gotham's more character in this movie.
Yes.
Gotham and Batman in particular are way more focused on and way more character, like stylized characters in this movie. Dark Knight's still great. I don't want to say anything bad about Dark Knight, but it's just Chicago.
It's Chicago. Yeah, 100% fucking Chicago. Gotham feels like New York, New Orleans, a little bit mixed, but it's like these beautiful scapes that remind me of a little bit of '89, a little bit of the the animated series of these gorgeous skylines
Wayne
and
Tower.
Yeah.
It's not even Wayne Manor, but like Wayne Tower looks like a fucking Bloodborne level.
Yeah. It's got this like crazy gothic ass look to it. Yeah,
highly detailed, like all kinds of carving, intricate details.
When they went in there, I was like, God damn, this looks cool.
Yeah, there was a room in there that was like, where the fuck did you film this?
Yeah, right?
Like, I was thinking,
whose house is this?
Where was this filmed? And like, I know a lot of it was filmed in like London and England. And
you're expecting a glowing chest on the side of some shit. Like there's a lot to like about this movie, and I feel I do have a personal big attachment to Batman '89. Mm-hmm. I do like Dark Knight quite a bit, but I don't know. I think this one's also really goddamn good. I think in terms of like live action Batman movies, this might easily be considered one of the better ones.
I think this is the best Batman movie about Batman. Like for sure. Of the live action of all the
Batman Begins is definitely about Batman.
Yeah. It is.
It's about Batman being a ninja, mostly. It's definitely about Batman.
It is.
It's not. I can't have to remind myself who's the bad guy, and I'm like, oh, it's Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul. But it's definitely the best Batman movie that's focused on Batman himself.
Best Batman and best Gotham.
Because like '89 is about Joker, and Returns is actually a really fun movie too, but it's really about Danny DeVito and
Michelle Pfeiffer. For sure.
And I really do like the Nolan-verse films. I think they're all good, but they're also kind of like mostly for the spectacle of their villains for the most part too.
Outside of Begins,
Yeah, so I don't know.
Well, actually, Begins is like an origin story, so he's not even actually Batman yet.
He's not Batman until like halfway into that movie,
true.
Like or 2/3. Well, at least halfway. But
it's.
I like Begins. I actually do like Begins a lot, but I mean, like, there is the problem even in that movie, which was like I had the same problem with Jurassic World in a weird way, where it's like. Get to the part where the dinosaurs break out, or getting in Batman Begins. It was like, I'm happy seeing this origin fleshed out, but I'm also kind of like, I also know what's it's the movie's called Batman Begins.
Yeah,
like I know he's not going to die on that way up to the mountain, and I know he's going to make it through his training.
Sure,
I know he's going to get through the stuff. So like. Get to the
beginning. Get to the beginning. Yeah, year one.
So there is a little bit of that with as much as I love the beginning. So this movie's nice that it didn't retread that ground. It was like it's year 2. He's been Batman. Like he's not meeting Jim Gordon. He's established. He has a camaraderie
together,
with Gordon. Like it's a thing. And Gordon's basically they do a thing that the animated series kind of does pretty well too, where it's like Gordon trusts him the most. And everyone else on the PD is kind of like, against
Like that's a huge part of this movie.
Yeah. That's what I do. Like, I like how they just like, dude, we're pretty much the only 2 people that we can trust, right? Yeah. Because like they know how crooked like everything is. And like, like Gordon's like, I know you're unshakable. I don't know. And that I like that. And speaking of, I liked everybody, pretty much almost everybody in this movie. Like, I liked Gordon was awesome.
I thought Penguin was great.
Penguin was super sick.
Simmons had to tell me that was Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, Jesus, man.
I saw the name with the credits. You're like, what the hell was Colin Farrell?
It was Colin Farrell. Like, he was Penguin. I'm like, I still don't see it. I'd have to go back and really look, Yeah. He did a great job, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, he had like a whole like specialist design just for his face prosthetics.
It looks really convincing and really good. Like
it's interesting because he looks realistic, but then in certain shots you could almost see the crooked nose come out.
Yeah,
like with the lighting and stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely supposed to have like a weird nose.
Yeah, it's some like little thing here where he kind of
doesn't have a monocle though, but
He does waddle.
Yeah, he does waddle. He's got this big guy.
Where he's like all tied up by the feet and the hands, and he does like a waddle.
Yeah. And he
think about that.
He has Arkham vibes. like Penguin in that universe.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, he's got the Arkham vibe, and Catwoman.
And you might think Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman, Batman. How stuffed is this movie?
It's pretty stuffed, technically.
Yeah.
It is, but it also doesn't
feel like it.
Doesn't feel like it because like Penguin's not the focus. He's he's what he was, which was like he kind of ran the Iceberg Lounge.
Yeah,
that's what he does in this movie. He's not here, to be the center of the storyline. And Catwoman's definitely B plot, but in a good way,
in a great way, yeah.
Where it's like that is also somewhat tied to A plot. It's not a completely separate thing because there's that going on too, and then Riddler's always just sort of like the sort of threat in the background. Riddler's kind of like the Sauron of the film, where it's like you don't see him a whole ton.
Yeah, he's literally the Zodiac guy. He's the Zodiac killer, and he's the guy from Seven.
Yeah, like he does get his scene to shine, if you will, near the end. But it's like, the movie's he's definitely just a presence.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the fun part is having a really.
Is who's he going to pick off next?
Scary, weird, creepy Riddler like that. I know some people were really like miffed about like the costume there.
Well, that's to boil down the super gritty ass realism of the film. Like I thought it was going to boil back to him being the reporter.
Yeah,
I thought they were really setting
that was
up.
His dad.
Maybe, and he was just like he was essentially an orphan.
Yeah,
and he was orphaned at the same time that the Waynes could have benefited him, but Wayne died. Yeah. So, like the whole... I really like the twist. Like, the final twist where it seems like Riddler is revealing that he knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And he doesn't. Yeah. And it's the fact that he wanted to kill Bruce Wayne with Batman. And he's like, we never got him. Yeah. And, and it's like, oh, shit. And, like... Even Batman's reaction is like...
Yeah, he was like, oh, shit, oof.
All right, yeah.
Woo, yeah,
like,
damn it.
Fucking shit. Yeah. That was close. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a nice little twist that even Riddler could not figure out that Bruce Wayne was Batman.
Yeah, and he seemed like he was right there too.
Yeah. Because he had built this because he's so delusional.
Yeah,
like he has this thing in his head that Batman's kind of like
he's working with him.
He's my brawn.
Yeah,
and I'm the brains.
I'm the brains. You're the brawn.
And that was sick too, and that's why I loved it too because it reminded me of Hush. And he's this big mastermind.
There's a couple nods to Hush.
Yeah, there's a couple
in the movie,
nods to
like, hey, we know.
Yeah. Those exist.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember.
And you almost kind of feel in a way like when you see his costume, you're like, it's kind of like Hush-ish because Hush is a big mummy, head dude.
I don't even know the story.
But like, because his face is all like he has like a.
He's the mask. No.
Yeah.
He's fucking Dark Man.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, Hush is 100%.
Darkman?
Yeah, Hush is Darkman in design. And like in this movie, Riddler's kind of like this weird like raincoat gimp suit.
Yeah.
but
that's his own costume. That's his like because that's
his identity.
It's his identity because like Batman is like I love your mask and I have my mask and stuff. But going back to like it just reminded me because like the Riddler like in Hush gets his due and that's like Simon said a lot of people didn't like that. I loved it. I love him like dude finally giving some stuff to the Riddler, right? Because it's like everyone's always the Joker, Two-Face, but like Riddler pulling this mastermind plot to me was awesome, and it makes sense because he's about riddles and clues and stuff like that. And I liked him being the puppet master of Hush, and then this movie reminded me of that because he's like, guess what? I'm caught, but hey, I have one last surprise.
Yeah, and then everyone's gonna mention because like we'd have to talk about it the fact that there's a Joker tease in the end.
Oh yeah,
he looks really weird.
He looks really weird.
Yeah, he's meant to be like disguised.
It's definitely really based on like more recent runs of the comic where like Joker's had his face cut off and re-sewn on.
Yeah,
and he's really fucked up.
Isn't that kind of what it's like in Gotham?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Or an Arkham.
Where like the Star Wars kid plays Joker, right?
Oh yeah, that one. It's a Joker, not Joker. Jared or whatever.
Oh, the series I forgot that was
the series,
It's like
I don't know.
They didn't allow them the rights to do Joker, but like you could like do everything you can, but you can't say he's Joker.
Oh.
So they just dance around and hint it. They even did that thing where his face gets cut off and he gets it stapled on. Yeah, they did that in the series. They just legally could not say he's the Joker.
And I mean, of course, they're gonna tease Joker in some way.
It feels if anything, that felt the most pandery thing to me.
Yeah,
like not in a good way, like not in an Easter eggy way. It's just kind of like, okay, there's a cellmate in Arkham, and he
and it's because like Batman Begins did the exact same thing, where Batman Begins.
I think I'm kind of on the train with other people. I'm like, I don't really want. I hope the follow. If this seems like it's going to do well,
Yeah.
I hope the follow movie is not a Joker.
Mr. Freeze. Yeah, we were saying that.
Yeah, because Reeves name dropped Mr. Freeze in an interview where he's like, I feel like he really could.
That's a more interesting,
get a
almost a more
redemption.
interesting villain.
And it would be it would be interesting to see him do it in this type of world.
Yeah, like how the hell do you do a Mr. Freeze who's a very fantastical fucking bad guy?
Here's how you do it. He needs a special medicine. He doesn't wear a suit. He's not in a Sub-Zero suit, but he needs like a vaccine or like a medical thing to keep him alive. But it has to be kept at be below Sub-Zero temperatures.
So
He's constantly having to have Sub-Zero like medicine administered to him, kind of thing. And you can still do the thing with his wife. She could either be cryogenically frozen or not. It kind of depends if you want to go that route with Nora. I think the point is not whether or not she's frozen. The point is whether or not, like, Freeze is just a guy who is just, he has no ethical means. He has no realistic means of getting his wife a cure.
Yeah.
And the only way to keep her alive is basically by basically, say, getting medicine of some sort. He can't afford it, so he has to steal it.
Yeah.
And it's because it's so rare and expensive and whatever, he has to resort to like more and more extreme methods to do it. And that's how you really do Freeze. Freeze is basically just a story about like how, you know, you could even make it like politically, you know, you charge as much as you want because it's like, here's the American healthcare system.
Yeah,
you know?
Oh, yeah,
Bam,
he gets angry and I mean,
but like you could go that
this
way.
This movie was a little bit like that too. Like he was after all the rats and the big, you know, players in Gotham. So now he can be like, oh, fucking Gotham General and this guy.
Yeah, this movie definitely, like, obviously, like, the crazy, we're going to build our internet fucking army and fucking storm the newly elected, like, representative.
And you know how you end that movie, which would even be good setup for the Bruce Wayne they're building here, is that the real solution at the end of it is like, Bruce, you're a fucking billionaire. You can have your Gotham Pharmaceutical come up with a permanent solution to cure Nora because you do have the means and the ability to do that because you're that rich.
Yeah.
And then Bruce Wayne can realize like that is part of your parents' legacy.
Yeah.
Not punching goons. Punch
Mr. Freeze harder.
Right? So I'm like, it kind of ties in beautifully to what they've already started setting up and establishing in this movie. Because there's this whole thing about, like, you know, what is Thomas Wayne's legacy? Yeah. You know, and Alfred, you know, has his ideals, and then the public and Riddler has his ideals, and then Batman and what he's doing is what is carrying on his family's legacy. So I'm like, that's how you bring Freeze in. Yeah. It's just you bring him in and be like, bro, you could cure diseases, you could solve people's, like, you know, medical crises because you're that fucking rich. Yeah. Like, that's what you do.
No crime!
That's kind of the nice part
punch crime
about the movie is that it essentially and effectively sets up for a universe beyond this that I'm genuinely captivated where they could go. And seeing this thematic take on a lot of Batmanisms like Mr. Freeze, like Killing Joke, seems super interesting.
Because, like, Riddler's a psychopath, like in this movie. He's a serial killer and whatever. Like, obviously, and Penguin's a piece of shit. As well.
An ugly piece of shit,
he's just a piece of shit. So it's like, it would be fun if the next movie's not about a villain who's a piece of shit. He's just like, I'm a villain because I have to be. Yeah. I don't have a choice. Kind of like, I'm like forced into this thing.
We just bring back Tommy Lee Jones to play Two-Face the exact same way he did in Batman.
Not Billy D? Does anyone remember that besides us?
Well, Billy D. Williams was gonna be.
Well, he was Harvey Dent in the first movie.
Yeah,
I heard him speak a few years ago at a convention, like himself, and he was like, the whole reason I took that role was because I read about the character, and I wanted to be Two-Face.
Yeah.
His whole reason he said he agreed to be in '89 because he thought that would
eventually lead to something.
He was going to build up to a Two-Face role in the future.
Damn, it would be a hell of a Two-Face. You could be the calm, cool Lando Calrissian and then just be some crazy psychopath.
Psychotic, yeah. Well, anyway, it's great. Go see it.
I love it. It's great.
It's good. Robert Pattinson makes a great Batman, a great dark Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. How many, like, if anyone had their doubts at this point, it's like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson?
Yeah.
You know, when someone, like, gets weirded out by a Batman casting.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? With Heath Ledger, and then Batfleck, who was actually fine as Batman. He just kind of got stuck with a shit script.
Yeah.
And then Robert Pattinson, again, it's kind of like, this keeps happening.
Well, to be completely honest, Michael Keaton. 100%.
That was before the age of the internet, because the internet would have flipped.
Somebody
The internet would have lost
dug
the shit.
up a letter, handwritten, because it's the 80s. It was a petition. Someone was trying to get a petition going in like 88
Don't make Michael Keaton
to stop Michael Keaton from being Batman, because I would degrade the role so much or something.
There you go, Chad.
Wait a minute. Like the grandfather, the protozoic goop of internet trolls.
Yes, there is an absolute fine line between never listening to fans and sometimes listen to fans. And if you don't ride that line carefully enough, you are fucked. Like you listen to fans too much and it will suck.
Oh yeah.
And you don't listen to fans enough and it will also suck.
Right? Yeah. There's an absolute line like
brutal line that is very hard to ride, and sometimes you just got to go with like, this is our creative vision. We think it's going to be dope. Yeah. And they were right. This is probably the coolest Batman has ever been since like Batman '89. In my opinion, his Batman was cool.
He's definitely cool in this.
He's fucking cool.
When he first showed up to those goons, man, it was rainy, just fucking. He's like, all right, here I am.
Batman's fucking cool in this movie.
He's not like, and I like that. I like how he didn't like ninja and all those guys are dead. Like, you know, like, right?
Pure intimidation.
He's just like,
it's intimidation. Yeah. He's crime bully.
Yeah, he's crime bully, right?
But and shout out again to the music.
Music's so fucking good.
He does like a slow stomp, and they do a lot of like low shots of his boots just stomping through the rainy ass.
It was
water.
Almost like the Mandalorian a little bit.
Michael
like
Giacchino music just dun dun dun. It's like this like death march.
This death march, Batman death march. That's what da 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 da. You are fucked.
Yeah, it's great. It works so well. I'm actually really happy with it. I mean, I'll never. I don't know if I'll ever get over the Danny Elfman theme being like like one of my favorites.
But this is easily the next best. I don't.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm having a tough time remembering what the Begins theme was.
Yeah.
I'm having a tough time.
I'm sure.
So it's probably like.
Well, no, it's Hans Zimmer.
It's Hans Zimmer. It's good.
Yeah, no, I kind of remember it, but it's like. They don't. I feel like the theme was played when Batman was going out being Batman in the movie. It's
no, because it's more.
Because the Hans Zimmer theme is done.
The Batman theme in this.
They played it in the credits.
They played it in the credits. Like, the Batman theme is used effectively, and like. The Batman theme is used effectively in Batman '89 and Mid Returns. It's used effectively.
And you know what they did here in this movie? They had like that one like emo song played while he was walking around, and it kind of fucking worked.
It really worked.
It really worked.
That was after the guys.
Yeah, the one that was in the trailers. I think.
Yeah, even in the trailers, and he was like walking into the scene, and they're like, it was like playing some like emo music, and I'm like, I was watching, I was listening.
Sounds
like
weird. It sounded working.
It sounded like one of those Death Stranding songs.
Yeah,
Death Stranding. Yeah, like a random Death Stranding song.
It sounded like one of those Death Stranding songs. I
was like, wow.
It's great. Go see it. It's really good. Go see it if you can. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.